2024 campaign season takes shape. President Biden and his party are aiming to recreate their surprisingly strong 2022 performances in battleground states. According to our next guest, Democrats were able to win big in those midterms by employing a strategy often used against them, going negative.
For you, Herschel Walker wants to ban abortion.
There's no exception in my mind. Like I said, I believe in life. There's not a national ban on abortion right now, and I think that's a problem.
But for himself,
Herschel Walker paid for an abortion for his then girlfriend.
Oz supported a radical plan that could cut Social Security and Medicare while giving massive tax breaks to millionaires like himself. Mehmet Oz, he's no senator, he's a snake.
Tudor Dixon is so radical, she would outlaw abortion even in cases of rape or when a girl is the victim of incest.
Michigan is one of 13 states with so-called trigger laws that would immediately make abortion a crime for doctors.
The federal government needs to step in and say no state can permit abortion. You make it illegal and you punish the doctors.
Blake Masters, too dangerous for Arizona.
Those are some of the ads from the last cycle in 22. Joining us now, political strategist Rachel Bitecofer. She is co-author of the new book titled Hit 'em Where It Hurts, How to Save Democracy by Beating Republicans at Their Own Game. Rachel, good morning. It's great to see you.
It is so great to be back on set of Mojo. Thank you, guys. I've missed you.
We're happy to have you. So let's read a little of the introduction to the book. Quote, in football, they say a good offense starts with a good defense. In American-style politics, it is the exact opposite. If you're defending, you're losing. The party with the ball gets the score. And as of this writing of the book, that party is usually the Republicans. Why? Why is the grand old party always a step or three ahead of Democrats when it comes to shaping public opinion, crafting effective messages, and driving the narrative? How does a party full of bozos, blowhards, and grifters keep running the ball down the field with an agenda that overtly threatens the freedom, health, wealth, and safety of every person who lives in this country? And most important of all, why the hell do swing voters keep falling for it? So let's first, Rachel, define negative partisanship. We saw some of it in those ads. But what is it that you think Democrats should be doing as we go ahead to this year?
Yeah, that's a really great foundational question, because to understand contemporary American politics, one has to understand the outsized role that partisanship plays in vote choice. When people are making a vote decision, I could know nothing about them, man, woman, black, white, small, old, young, educated. But if I know that they're a Democrat or a Republican or an independent that leans one of those two parties, I'll be able to predict their vote choice pretty much perfectly. 9 out of 10 times I'll be right, because partisanship is what shapes it. So negative partisanship is grounded in your partisan identity, but it's about how you feel about the opposition party. And in our system, which is a two-party system, that opposition is very clearly defined. It's not split up against multiple party coalitions like a parliamentary system would be. And what you do is, what Republicans figured out anyway after 2004 with the gay marriage bans, was that there was actually a lot of power in tapping into people's fear of the opposition. And that if you did so, you could create messaging that solves the two bucket problem, persuasion, mobilization, by making one message that both drives strong turnout of your base and your independent coalition, and also pushes swing voters away from going to the other party. So it's, instead of trying to sell a candidate with a bio like Val Demings in Florida, who's a sheriff or what have you, they're trying to make sure you don't want to buy Val Demings. And it's a much easier sell because, unfortunately, in America, we culture people not to much care about politics or like it and kind of find it in a disdain. So it's much easier. You're not trying to sell a Toyota, right? You're trying to sell something people don't want to buy and they don't trust. So you have to push people away from buying the other products.
So we're going to talk about some of these state races this year, but let's talk about the presidential. So by the negative partisanship model, that means lean more on if Donald Trump becomes president, we lose our democracy, then look at how well I've done with the economy.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's kind of both, right? So you can do both, but it's about contrast, right? So here's what the Democrats have done for you or want to do for you, but they can't because Republicans will block it with immigration bill, right? Like if Democrats are smart, if they're going to block that bill, they'll spend the next 10 months reminding voters this is the third time in 20 years they've killed comprehensive immigration reform, right? So it really is about personalizing the threat. It's one thing to tell voters abstractly that democracy is a threat. You have to make that very concrete to people. And the Roe repeal issue is so valuable in that way. And I say that in the book, that all the strategic shifting we did in the party, it wouldn't have helped as much without that Roe effect, because Roe is a concrete way to show people you had a right and the Republican Party stole it from you.
You know, sadly, I would submit that most people, your average person, your average family, don't really pay attention to politics until maybe the 2 weeks prior to a big election. And sadly, even sadder now, the American political landscape, I would submit again, since about 2015, the arguments on both sides have been driven by fear.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing is, the Democrats have really been slow to pivot to fear, Mike. I have to be honest with you. I mean, that's why I had to write the book, all right? In 2020, we had an incumbent president who was killing, basically, from incompetence, 3,000 Americans a day with COVID response, and a party that was holding up something called a HEROES bill in the Senate to fund COVID response. Democrats would have wedged that and made that an issue down ballot. So you had Biden running against Trump and COVID mismanagement, but down ballot, you did not have that conversation. So it has been slow to get Democrats to embrace this strategy because it feels it's so against the liberal ethos to be mean, hyperbolic, simplistic, and rhetorically like outlandish that it's taking a lot to get people to transition. But mostly it's just about getting those tuned out people to know. It's not like people are reading the headlines we're reading and then not responding, the MAGA people aside, right? Regular people. They're just not reading those headlines. They don't know any of the things that we know. So it's our job to tell them that the Republican Party has collapsed into a fascist cult.
So
if we don't tell them, they will not know.
We can tick down the list here. Some of them we played the ads, whether it was Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania, Senator Fetterman there, Governor Whitmer, Senator Kelly. These are examples of 2022 of Democrats who effectively used these sort of negative partisanship. And part of that, though, and this would be applicable to this presidential campaign as well, because you write that it's really hard to sell legislation to voters, to convince them, hey, we did good things, we're helping your lives. And that's something that this president has had a problem with. His legislative record is by any measure robust, yet he seems to be getting no credit for it, and his approval ratings are low.
Exactly. So, you know, I mean, there's a strong movement in the party to do more credit claiming, and I get that, and I think it's important. But at the end of the day, it's about the contrast, right? So it's not just that he gave seniors $35 insulin. It's that every single MAGA extremist Republican, that branding phrase, even though it's a mouthful, I say it every time, extremist Republican or MAGA extremist or whatever it is with the candidate's name so that I can brand them. That's why it's so important to do that. You have to make sure that you're, you know, reiterating it over and over and repeating it.
Claire, and Republicans certainly giving Democrats a lot to work with negative partisanship with candidates like Herschel Walker and Dr. Oz and Kari Lake and Blake Masters and Mark Finchem, and the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah, so speaking of those candidates, I think we are ignoring at our peril two important Senate races this year because everybody needs to understand something. We do not control the Senate unless we win either Florida or Texas. It doesn't happen. So let's talk about going after Rick Scott and Ted Cruz. You talk about a field that is full of flowers to pick in terms of contrast. What about that, Rachel? How aggressively can we go after these two guys in order to hold on to the Senate, which is so important to this country?
Oh, Claire, I'm so glad you're highlighting that because it's the truth. Either Texas or Florida will have to replace our West Virginia and potentially this three-way race in Arizona. So it's a must-win situation. And when you think about someone like Rick Scott, I mean, this is a man that has proposed eliminating Social Security and Medicare, a $5,000 yearly tax on middle-class families. And he's got the charisma of like a piece of dead wood, right? So we should be able to go against him. My fear is that if I was running the Florida Senate strategy, instead of trying to focus, I mean, you have to do the bio ads and all of that, but most of the money is going to be spent defining Rick Scott as an extremist who's going to steal your freedom or your retirement. And, you know, if you run a campaign against Rick Scott, it's a far easier likelihood to pick that seat up than if we're trying to do the old strategy of biography and bipartisanship messaging.
A lot of advice for Democrats in an important year. The new book is titled Hit 'em Where It Hurts, How to Save Democracy by Beating Republicans at Their Own Game. Co-author Rachel Bitecofer. Rachel, great to see you. Welcome back.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Still